everybody, it's Becky and I'm back today with a video about how to be a happy housewife and or stay-at-home mom. I know some people are housewives and they don't necessarily have kids, but I think for the most part the two things are they kind of go hand in hand. And I will have been a stay-at-home mom in January. It will be 11 years that I've been a stay-at-home mom. And it's not that I didn't have, because I got married young, so I didn't have a career that I had invested all this time in. I mean, I did go to college and got a degree and stuff like that, but pretty much I was still working retail when I got married, and not long after that we had our first daughter, and so, you know, we really didn't have a whole lot of time to, I hadn't really had a whole lot of time to start a career. So there wasn't that I was missing about being a stay-at-home mom, but I was missing just the general, I mean, it's just a big change. I mean, you go from having a day job and just being you and your husband or just you or whatever, and then all of a sudden you have a baby to take care of. You don't leave the house sometimes for days and days and days on end, and it can be a little hard, a little overwhelming. This is probably going to be a little bit of a longer video, and so, you know, I tend to take notes with those kind of videos. If you know me, I live by notes. I write pretty much everything down. That's something that has helped me in my life as a stay-at-home mom, but just in general, I've made to-do lists since I was a little girl. So kind of the same thing with notes. It helps me to keep my thoughts organized. So I hope you don't mind if I'm looking down here and there. But there's a saying, there's a verse in the Bible. It's Proverbs chapter 14, verse 1. It says, "Every wise woman builds her house, but a foolish one tears it down with her own hands." And basically that means that women and moms are important, and they can make or break the happiness of a household. I mean, when you were a kid, if your mom wasn't happy, don't you remember, like, nobody was happy? That's kind of the saying. That's basically what that Bible verse means. I mean, we as women hold our families, I feel like, in our hands. And not that dads aren't important, because they are, but I just feel like that moms have that really special role. And so it's a really important job. And even though you don't maybe have a job out in the workforce anymore, don't count your worth only by having an outside day job. Think of your new job as a housewife or a stay-at-home mom as your new job. I mean, my husband goes out and he has a job outside of the home, and that's his responsibility. And so my job essentially now is inside the home. It's not 9 to 5. I don't get paid with it, and by money. I get rewards other ways, but I mean, that's my responsibility. And so I would set goals and priorities for my life as a wife and a housewife and a stay-at-home mom, just like I would if I had a job outside the home. I set weekly and monthly and quarterly and yearly goals, and I can share that with you in a future video. I actually plan on doing that in January. But set goals and priorities just like you would if you had a typical job, because those goals and priorities are going to help you schedule your days. They're going to help you stay on track when there's a million things that you need to do and you don't know what to do first. And it gives you a purpose and something to work for, so that when you accomplish those goals, you have a sense of accomplishment. And that's really important, because I know in the beginning, of course, taking care of my daughter was the most awesome job ever. And that in itself was a benefit and a reward and all these great things. But I mean, you need more than that as a person and as a woman. And so is it, am I going to solve world hunger by staying at home and setting goals and priorities for my household? No. But does it make my life more fulfilled and enriching and motivating? Yes. So those are really important, and it does give me direction to help me stay on track, because you will get pulled in 9,000 different directions if you don't have any goals or priorities set at all. And don't use your responsibilities, don't become a martyr and use your responsibilities to hold against your family, as a pity party. Yeah, I'll do it again because that's all, I do it all, I'll do everything. That's my job, I'll do it. It's fine. Don't fall into that trap, because it's not healthy for you, and it's not healthy for your family. Taking care of my home and my family is a way that I show them love and respect. And so when I think of things that way, I don't mind so much the responsibilities that I have and how that they're never ending. And does it get overwhelming? Yes, and I do still get overwhelmed, but when I think of it that way, instead of falling into the martyr trap, thinking of it as a way to show love and respect to my family and my husband and my kids and myself, having a nice home, cooking dinner whenever I can, things like that, it makes my life a lot easier and my job as a mom a lot happier. Another big deal is don't fall into the comparison trap. I mean, I feel like it's easy for everybody to do, especially women. You compare yourself to other women, and to other families. You know, it warps the true image of your goals and your priorities for your family if you're trying to compare yourself and live up to somebody else or your perception of them. That might not even be might not even be an accurate perception, but you know, the way you see them may or may not be the way that they really are. But if you're trying to compare yourself to those people, all of a sudden your priorities and your goals and everything gets warped, and you aren't living your life for yourself anymore. You're living it for somebody else, basically. You'll never be happy if you do that, because you're going to constantly find people to compare yourself to that you think are better or smarter or prettier or thinner or a better mom or a better wife. And you'll never be happy with what you are as a person. So focus on working on yourself and not worry so much about what other people are doing or what they appear to be doing. And I think nowadays with Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all that, it's so much easier to, not only do we compare ourselves if we go out and we see other families and moms with their kids or whatever, but now we have Facebook where everybody's posting all these awesome dinners they cooked. And look where we are. We're here and we're having this awesome vacation. And now we're going to go somewhere and do this and save homeless children in another country. And I think a lot of times that is not always the way that it really is. I mean, it might be true. They might be that awesome family that's just perfect. But for the most part, people are not going to put on Facebook themselves with no makeup and greasy hair in their pajamas, and their kids are screaming in the background, and their husband's, doesn't have any clothes to wear to work the next day. Nobody's going to post that on Facebook because it's not interesting. Don't fall into that trap, because it will steal any bit of happiness that you can have, and that's a really big deal. Make sure to nurture yourself before you can nurture others. We've all heard this 8,000 googly million times, but it's true. I mean, find something that you like to do for yourself that is just for you, because if you aren't happy and fulfilled as just a person on your own, you can't fulfill and nurture other people. If you're running dry and you have nothing that you've given to yourself, no relaxation at all, no hobbies, nothing you enjoy to do, and you're always work, you know what they say, all work and no play makes, what is it, Jack a very dull boy? I always think about Jack Nicholson when I think about that. I don't know why. Does he say that in that movie, The Shining? I can't remember. Seems like he does. Anyway, I'm sidetracking. It's hard, especially for moms, because we feel guilty when we take time away from our families to do something for ourselves. But I feel like it is important, and it is for your family, essentially, because when you're happier, then that translates into your role as a mom and a wife. You're happier in those roles. And if you're overworked and don't have time for yourself, then you're going to crash and burn, and the whole family's going to go down with you. And that might mean that you need to find a new hobby. Maybe it's not the same hobby that you had before you got married or had kids or were a stay-at-home mom or wife. Maybe it is, but maybe it's not. Maybe you have to find something that works more with your new schedule, and that's okay. I mean, if I've learned anything in the last almost 11 years, it's to adapt, because as soon as you get used to a schedule and a routine, you finally get it all figured out, your kids are napping at the right time, they're going to bed at the same time, all this stuff's perfect, everything will change as soon as it gets into a pattern. So you have to be able to adapt. That means to adapt, not completely give up whatever you do for yourself, whether that be a bubble bath, reading books, exercising. For me, it's exercise and YouTube. Those are the two things that take up the most time that are not specifically just for my family. Yes, obviously being healthy and exercising is good for them in the long run, because I'll hopefully will live longer, but it's not directly for them. And YouTube really isn't either. So, I mean, those are my two hobbies, and it's hard to find time to do both of those things, but I have to because it's important for me. So, whether that means working out in the morning, I work out when they go to sleep. It's not ideal because it's bedtime and I've got other stuff I need to do that I didn't get done during the day or that I couldn't do because they were awake. But I have to squeeze in that hour because it's important for me. So, kind of the same thing I said about scheduling exercise. Scheduling is your new BFF. And that's not to be a slave to it, but it's to give you a guideline to keep you on track. To set a cleaning schedule, that really helped me. Until I did that, I was a chicken with my head cut off. I was running around, I was doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and never actually finishing much of anything. But by following a schedule, no matter what, I know that the main chores are getting done. The laundry, the dishes, the cooking, those things are getting done. And get your kids involved. Give them chores to do and make them do them. Yes, it's easier to do it ourselves sometimes, easier, quicker, more efficient, but it's not teaching them anything. It's not helping them, it's not doing them any favors, and it's not doing you any favors, because you could probably use the help, and you're not doing them any favors because they need to learn how to do these skills. They need to be to learn how to be a helpful and profitable, not profitable, what's the word I'm looking for? Helpful, and what is the word? Active, maybe that's the word. Member of the family. They are part of a family, and families help each other out. That's just what they do. So, and you're setting them up for later on when they grow up and they move out. They will have these skills. They'll know what to do. Have you ever seen a grown-up that doesn't have a clue to how to take care of a house or balance a checkbook or cook a meal? It's really sad. So if you start them now when they're young, and depending on how old they are, they can do different things. That's really helping them out. I'm sorry I'm talking weird, by the way. My throat is still sore. I mentioned in my last video that I have strep throat, so I feel like I'm talking out of my nose. I don't mean to, but anyway. And I have a chore chart for my kids, and they do get allowance, but I plan on sharing the chore chart video. I might film it after this, but it won't be posted until probably next Friday. But just to show you how that I list out what my kids need to do. They might do things that are in addition to those chores, but these are the things that they have to get done every week. And I'll share that, next week. And also, when you go throughout your day and your kids see what you do in any given day, you're really teaching them what's important and what's worth their time and how to use their time. And you don't want to teach your children to always be running around frantic and overworked and never knowing what's going on and being late for everything. So it's nice to prioritize and have them see you prioritize and set a schedule and do it and get it done and be efficient and still have time to spend with your family or do something for yourself. It's just as important as scheduling chores to schedule nap time and quiet time. Even if your kids don't take a nap anymore, a lot of times we'll set aside some time in the afternoon where everybody goes to their rooms, the kids can read, play quietly on their bed, whatever it might be. But just some time to everybody have their own personal space, especially when you stay at home and you're together 24/7. And we homeschool, so we are together 24/7. It's nice to have that little break. They can get away from me. I can have some quiet time, whether that means I take a nap, I make phone calls, I make a video, whatever I do. We all have our time to ourselves. And also schedule fun. I think sometimes we get it seems so unsporadic or what's the word I'm looking for? Non-spontaneous to schedule fun, but sometimes you have to, especially more lengthy things, because like going to a movie or going camping or scheduling time for your spouse, sometimes if we don't pencil those things in, they kind of slip our mind. So we try to have date nights with our girls where we'll either go as a family or one parent will take one kid and one parent will take the other kid, and we'll have like a special one-on-one time. I think that's especially important with siblings. And then the next week we'll switch. It's a little harder right now with my husband's work schedule to do that, but that's something that my parents did for us, and I feel like they really love it and it's exciting, and then they look forward to the next week when they get to go with the other parent. So schedule fun time for your family. So my final tips are to prioritize your life. It's easy to overschedule ourselves and our kids, but if you stop and ask yourself why. Why are your days so busy? What are you running around doing? And if those whys are not a reason that bring joy to yourself or to God or that fit into your family's priorities, then pitch them and say no and don't do them. Because life is too short to be spent running around doing a bunch of stuff that just fills our time for no good reason. I mean, obviously there's things we want to do, we want to help people and stuff, but like I said, if it doesn't glorify God or yourself or your family, then say no. It's that simple. It's a hard habit to break once you've gotten into the habit of saying yes, but once you start saying no, it feels so freeing to be able to politely decline if you don't have time to do something that doesn't fit in with your family's priorities. And that might also fit into a family mission statement. I mentioned in my homeschool video, we have a homeschool mission statement. Maybe you should make a family mission statement, and where you would list, all your priorities and your goals for your family and your family rules. And if one of these things that comes up is not on your list of priorities, then just let it pass you by. Don't worry about it. Another thing that's important for us is to get out of the house. Even if I have my kids with me, we would like to get out usually at lunchtime and be around other people. It's a nice break from being at home all day, and I need that for my sanity. I don't know if some people do or not, but it's important to me to be able to get out of the house and just have a breather and be around other people. And this is one of my favorite things that I heard. It says, be a Tigger and not an Eeyore. We could always find things to be gloomy about and sad and poor me, like Eeyore. Or we could be like Tigger. He always sees things from the positive side of life. And, positivity tends to be contagious. And as moms, kids tend to look to us to see how they should respond with anger or feeling sorry for ourselves or road rage, and how we should be. If we're polite to people, they see that. And so if we're all hateful and grumpy, then it tends to rub off on everybody else. So try to be a Tigger and not an Eeyore, and your kids will generally follow suit to some extent. And don't get so busy every day that you forget to live your life. And that kind of goes back to scheduling fun. But I mean, we aren't here for very long. I mean, even if it's 80, 90 years, our kids aren't young forever. We're not going to be young forever. And try to enjoy life every day as it comes, because we could always be so busy that we don't get to stop and smell the roses. But that would be a shame if at the end of our life we don't remember any fun things we did or any spontaneous trips we took, but we remember doing dishes and laundry and all that stuff. So try not to get caught up in the grind of daily life and forget to enjoy living life. So I hope those tips were helpful. Obviously, it's a trial and error process for everybody, and it's taken me a long time to get to this point. It has been almost 11 years, and sometimes it seems like it's way longer than that, and sometimes it seems like it hasn't been that long. And I'm sure there's people out there that have way more useful tips to share than me, but I've been through all stages of being a stay-at-home mom. I've had the guilty stage, the bored stage, the I'm going to pull my hair out if I stay in this house one more day stage. I've had all those things, and then now adding homeschooling to it has changed it again. So now we're in a new stage, and it's an evolution that you have to keep growing with, and you have to adapt and change with. Otherwise, it's going to crush you. So it's really fun. We really enjoy it, and I am so blessed to be able to stay home with my kids and to homeschool them now too. So if you all have any suggestions for me, please let me know in the comments below. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me and I'll help you out any way that I can. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I've really had a good time in the last 6 months or so growing my channel and focusing a lot more on the types of videos that I want to put out. So if you have any suggestions for that, let me know, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.